The sandwiches we eat today are pretty tame, but back in the mid-20th century, American kitchens churned out some truly wild creations. Today, we're counting down the 8 worst forgotten sandwiches ever served at the family table. Number 1, ketchup and sugar sandwich, 1930s. The ketchup and sugar sandwich emerged during the Great Depression in the 1930s, a time of economic hardship when families were forced to make do with whatever ingredients were affordable and available. Bread was relatively inexpensive, and ketchup was often found in pantries as an all-purpose condiment. With limited access to luxury items like fresh meats, cheese, or even jam, families turned to what was on hand, and this led to creative, and sometimes peculiar, culinary choices. The simplicity of this sandwich was its defining feature: slices of plain bread smeared with ketchup and topped with a sprinkle of sugar for a touch of sweetness. The sandwich's appeal was in its cost-effectiveness, as well as its ability to mimic a treat or dessert-like taste despite the minimal ingredients. The combination of sweet and tangy flavors made it more palatable for children, and it quickly became a common meal for struggling families. However, the texture was often criticized. The soggy bread soaked in ketchup contrasted sharply with the gritty sugar, creating a less than pleasant mouthfeel. The ketchup and sugar sandwich stands as a symbol of resilience and resourcefulness, reflecting how people coped and adapted to dire circumstances by creating meals that could stretch their limited food supplies without compromising too much on taste. Number 2, peanut butter and pickle sandwich, 1940s. The peanut butter and pickle sandwich was a product of both necessity and experimentation during the 1940s. As World War II brought rationing and food shortages, families had to be resourceful with what they had. Peanut butter was a readily available, protein-rich staple, while pickles, particularly dill or bread and butter varieties, were easy to find or make at home through canning and preserving practices. This unusual combination emerged as a savory yet tangy twist on the traditional peanut butter sandwich, offering a mix of creamy and crunchy textures. The acidic and slightly sour nature of pickles cut through the richness of the peanut butter, creating a surprising burst of flavor that appealed to many taste buds during that time. The sandwich often featured various types of pickles, and each variety provided a different taste experience. Dill pickles added a sharp, vinegary tang, while sweet bread and butter pickles brought a sugary contrast. Some versions even included thinly sliced kosher pickles, amplifying the salty notes against the peanut butter's nutty flavor. It was seen as a balanced meal, offering protein, fats, and some tanginess to keep things interesting without the need for expensive ingredients like meat or cheese. While the sandwich seemed unconventional to some, it gained a loyal following and remained popular among certain households throughout the mid-20th century, partly due to its simple preparation and cost-effective ingredients. Number 3, spaghetti sandwich, 1950s. The spaghetti sandwich of the 1950s was a unique and resourceful culinary creation, born out of the era's focus on convenience and frugality. The decade saw a rise in the use of leftovers as part of family meals, and with the popularity of spaghetti as a budget-friendly dish, the idea of placing leftover spaghetti between 2 slices of bread quickly took hold. The sandwich often consisted of cold spaghetti and marinara sauce, sometimes with meatballs or grated Parmesan, squished between 2 slices of white bread or even toasted garlic bread. While the idea was simple and efficient, its practicality was questionable. The spaghetti's saucy and slippery texture, combined with soft bread, created a messy eating experience, as the sauce often seeped through the bread, leaving it soggy. This sandwich reflected the busy lifestyles of the 1950s American family, where fast, handheld meals were becoming popular with the increasing prevalence of the on-the-go lifestyle. It was an easy way to repurpose leftovers, particularly as food waste became more frowned upon. Some variations even emerged where families would grill or toast the bread for a crispier texture and to help contain the spaghetti filling. The rise of Italian-American cuisine in mainstream America influenced this sandwich trend, as spaghetti became a well-loved dish for all ages. However, while many kids enjoyed the novelty of eating pasta as a sandwich, it never quite took off as a cultural staple due to its challenging-to-handle, messy nature. Number 4. Liverwurst and onion sandwich, 1960s. The liverwurst and onion sandwich was a common yet divisive lunch option in the 1960s, especially among those with European roots, as liverwurst, also known as liver sausage, had been a popular meat product in many German, Polish, and Scandinavian immigrant communities. This sandwich was a reflection of the growing American taste for deli-style foods and strong flavors. Liverwurst, a smooth, spreadable sausage made primarily from pork liver, pork fat, and spices, has a distinct taste that's rich, earthy, and slightly metallic due to the iron content in the liver. It was often sold as a loaf or in tubular casings and could be sliced or spread onto bread. Its creamy texture made it easy to use as a filling, and the onions provided a sharp, pungent contrast that enhanced the sandwich's overall flavor profile. During the 1960s, American culinary preferences were shifting towards more assertive tastes, and sandwiches like these were an attempt to offer bold flavors in a time when processed foods and quick meals were the norm. Typically served on rye or pumpernickel bread to complement the strong flavors, the sandwich often included sliced raw onions, which brought a crunchy texture and a spicy bite. This combination appealed to adults who enjoyed strong, savory profiles, and it was a common item in lunchboxes for workmen or those seeking an affordable, protein-heavy meal. A liverwurst and onion sandwich could be customized in various ways. Some people added mustard, either yellow or spicy brown, for an additional layer of tanginess. Others preferred to use pickles or even radishes for a slightly more acidic or peppery taste. This sandwich was particularly popular among those who grew up with similar flavors in their European heritage, as liver sausages were deeply rooted in the Old World cuisine brought over by immigrants. Despite its popularity among certain demographics, the strong aroma of liverwurst, combined with the sharpness of raw onions, made this sandwich a polarizing choice, as many found the taste overwhelming and the smell quite pungent. Its place on family tables or in lunchboxes was also influenced by liverwurst's affordability and high protein content, making it a practical choice for families wanting to provide a substantial meal without breaking the bank. However, as American tastes started shifting towards lighter, milder, and more processed options in the later 20th century, the liverwurst and onion sandwich became less common. For many, the sandwich's bold flavors and distinctive ingredients have become a memory of a bygone era, cherished by some and avoided by others. Number 5. Ham and banana hollandaise sandwich, 1960s. The ham and banana hollandaise sandwich from the 1960s was a culinary experiment that aimed to blend savory, sweet, and creamy flavors, reflecting the era's fascination with adventurous food combinations. This unusual sandwich typically featured slices of banana, wrapped in slices of ham, covered in a rich hollandaise sauce, then broiled until slightly browned. The sweetness of the banana paired with the salty, cured flavor of the ham created a flavor profile that was both intriguing and perplexing. The warm, creamy hollandaise sauce, a classic French accompaniment usually reserved for dishes like eggs Benedict or asparagus, added a luxurious texture and buttery richness to the sandwich. The contrast of sweet, fruity banana with the salty, savory ham and the rich, slightly tangy sauce was intended to elevate the simple ingredients into something more gourmet. The sandwich was often presented as an exotic dish for brunch or light dinner, and was embraced by home cooks looking to impress guests with novel and visually appealing dishes. This reflects a period in the 1960s when American cuisine was influenced by French cooking techniques, particularly sauces like hollandaise, and international ingredients were becoming more accessible. Cookbooks of the era frequently promoted this sandwich as a fancy dish, and it was seen as a way to break from traditional ham sandwiches or more conventional fruit-based dishes. However, despite its creative ambitions, the sandwich's texture was an acquired taste. When broiled, the banana softened further, becoming mushy, while the ham often retained a chewy quality. The hollandaise sauce, being warm and liquid, made the bread base of the sandwich prone to becoming soggy. This combination of conflicting textures and the unusual mixture of flavors left many diners divided. and it never achieved widespread popularity beyond a niche following. While it represented a bold attempt to experiment with flavors, it ultimately didn't resonate with a broader audience, and its odd combination of ingredients made it one of the most forgotten and unusual sandwiches of the time. Number 6. Sardine and Mustard Sandwich, 1970s. The sardine and mustard sandwich was a distinctive, boldly flavored creation that became somewhat popular in the 1970s, aligning with the era's shift towards economical, convenient meals with strong tastes. Sardines, which are small, oily fish packed in cans, were a common pantry staple at the time due to their affordability, long shelf life, and high protein content. When combined with mustard, which added tanginess and cut through the oiliness of the sardines, the sandwich became a quick, easy-to-make lunch option that packed a punch in both flavor and nutrients. It was often prepared with slices of dense bread, like rye or whole grain, to complement the robust flavors and provide a sturdy base for the oily fish. The use of mustard, which could range from yellow to spicy brown or even Dijon, gave the sandwich a sharp, acidic kick that balanced the rich, salty taste of the sardines. The combination was often enjoyed by those who appreciated intense flavors and wanted something outside the realm of the usual ham and cheese fare. Additionally, sardines were seen as a health-conscious choice, rich in omega-3 fatty acids and calcium, which appealed to the emerging interest in healthier eating during the 1970s. This sandwich was more of an adult palate choice, as the strong, fishy taste and spicy mustard were considered sophisticated, though the smell and texture could be off-putting to many, especially children. Different variations of the sardine and mustard sandwich existed, with some adding toppings like lettuce or onions for extra crunch, or even a squeeze of lemon to elevate the flavors. However, its intense aroma, which lingered well after lunchtime, and its heavy, briny taste made it a polarizing option. The sandwich was often packed as a quick meal for work or picnics, but as American food trends evolved towards milder and more universally appealing flavors in later decades, the sardine and mustard sandwich gradually lost its popularity, becoming a relic of a bygone era. Number 7. Bologna and Grape Jelly Sandwich, 1970s. The bologna and grape jelly sandwich is a quirky combination that became surprisingly common in American households during the 1970s. Bologna, a popular lunch meat similar to mortadella but milder in flavor, was cheap, widely available, and versatile. The trend of combining bologna with grape jelly reflects the decade's fascination with sweet and savory pairings, which were seen as a way to elevate otherwise simple ingredients. The sandwich typically involved placing a slice of bologna between two pieces of white bread, with a generous spread of grape jelly. The jelly's sweetness provided a stark contrast to the processed, salty flavor of the bologna, aiming for a flavor harmony that mirrored other sweet-salty combinations of the time, like ham and pineapple. This sandwich was often found in lunchboxes, as it was easy to assemble, required no cooking, and was budget-friendly. Grape jelly was a pantry staple for many families, adding to the sandwich's practicality. However, the flavor combination was divisive. While some appreciated the contrast of the sugary jelly against the slightly smoky taste of bologna, others found the mix to be strange, with textures that didn't complement each other well. The bologna's spongy, chewy nature clashed with the sticky, spreadable jelly, making for an unusual mouthfeel that some described as both slippery and gelatinous. Nutritionally, the sandwich was high in sugar, fat, and sodium, a common profile for many quick-fix meals of the 70s. It represents a time when processed foods were at their peak, and creativity with ingredients was encouraged, even if the results were unconventional. The sandwich also reflects the influence of advertising on food trends, as bologna and grape jelly were heavily marketed at the time. Although it was a memorable concoction for those who tried it, the bologna and grape jelly sandwich did not survive into later decades, as palates moved toward fresher, more balanced flavors. Number 8. Tuna and Cottage Cheese Sandwich, 1980s. The tuna and cottage cheese sandwich emerged in the 1980s as a healthy alternative to heavier sandwiches, aligning with the decades' increasing focus on low-fat diets and high-protein meals. Cottage cheese was widely regarded as a health food, praised for its low-fat, high-protein, and calcium content. Canned tuna, another pantry staple, was also valued for its lean protein and omega-3 fatty acids. Combining these two ingredients into a sandwich seemed like a practical, nutritious choice for those looking to maintain a balanced diet, especially during the rise of fitness culture in the 80s. The preparation of the sandwich typically involved mixing canned tuna with cottage cheese, sometimes adding seasonings like black pepper, lemon juice, or herbs to boost the otherwise bland flavor. This filling was then spread on bread, often whole wheat, aligning with the growing preference for whole grains. Some variations even included a leaf of lettuce or a tomato slice for added freshness and crunch. However, the texture was a divisive factor. Cottage cheese's small curds mixed with the flaky tuna created an unusual consistency that didn't appeal to everyone, and the moisture from both ingredients could make the bread soggy if not eaten quickly. The flavor was also a subject of debate. While some appreciated the lightness and the salty, tangy mix, others found the combination to be lacking in taste and cohesion. It did not have the creaminess of mayonnaise-based tuna salads, nor the sharpness of other spreads, leading to a relatively flat taste. Over time, as more flavorful and convenient sandwich fillings became popular, the tuna and cottage cheese combination fell out of favor. While it lingered as a low-calorie option for the diet-conscious, it never achieved mainstream popularity due to its texture issues and the absence of bold flavors that were becoming more desirable as the decade progressed.